Welcome to the second episode of the I Can Do Anything podcast. My name's Colin, and I'll be talking about basketball today. It was opening night in the NBA last night. It was a pretty exciting night just because basketball is back, and you could really, the energy in both games. Both games were competitive for the most part, I think. It was just exciting to have basketball back. So I watched the first half of the 76ers and the Celtics game from the school board meeting and got a notification during the game about Carmelo Anthony coming off the bench. I think it was a notification for some sort of story about Carmelo embracing coming off the bench. And I talked about last episode briefly about Carmelo not being able to kind of embrace this, his age, the fact that he's getting older and that he may not be as good or as valuable to a team. And I think that the Rockets can be really, really good if he embraces that sixth man role. He could even be the sixth man of the year if he were to really embrace. He just has to understand that being the sixth man doesn't mean you necessarily lose playing time. He could still play the same minutes, but just come off the bench and then play at the end of the game with, Harden. I don't know what that lineup would be. I'm sure that they're going to experiment a lot with the end of the game lineup. And certainly they'll find something down the road that I think fits. But I'm excited for Carmelo Anthony that he is finally, it took a long time. It took way longer than it should have. Guys that he came into the league with like Dwayne Wade and LeBron. LeBron hasn't dropped off at all skill-wise, but he should have accepted it the same way Dwayne Wade accepted it maybe a year or two ago. And even Dwayne Wade last year made not a run in the playoffs, but he had his moments in the playoffs. And that would have helped the Cavaliers so much in the playoffs. I wish that they would have never made the Cavaliers made those moves before the trade deadline last year, because I thought a lot of those veteran guys, while they weren't producing necessarily during the regular season, if you've got LeBron on your team, you need to understand that the regular season all that really matters is that you make the playoffs. And while towards the end of the season, the Eastern Conference playoff race got pretty close, and the last seeds 8 through 4 were within maybe 3 to 5 games of each other. So it was important, I guess, that they put it all together midway through the season and salvage as many wins as possible. So maybe that trade allowed them to heat up in the middle to end of the season to solidify their, I don't remember if they were the 3 or the 4 seed in the playoffs, but to just get themselves into the playoffs. But I think that they still could have salvaged making the playoffs with those older guys, with Derrick Rose and Jake Crowder and Channing Frye and Dwayne Wade. And those guys would have been really, really valuable in the playoffs. Now, I don't think that it probably would have made, I don't know, maybe it would have made a difference in the playoffs. The whole game 1 thing in the playoffs really pissed me off last year, and I thought that completely changed the series. It's obviously an objective thing, but I think any non-objective basketball viewer could see that what happened in game 1 of the finals last year definitely changed the series. But I think I'm straying a little bit away from the point. The point was that Carmelo Anthony, I'm happy that you're finally accepting the role of that you're getting old and coming off the bench. I think he should have I hope he has a great year. I would like to see, I want to see the Lakers win the NBA Finals, but I would like to see someone other than the Warriors, although the Warriors game of basketball or brand of basketball is obviously really fun to watch. It was a lot of fun to watch last night. It would be cool to see. I just really want Chris Paul to win a championship. He was originally my favorite player in the NBA before LeBron. His early career when he was with the Hornets, I was in love with Chris Paul. It's the reason why I wore number 3, actually. I actually didn't like the number 3. I didn't really like Allen Iverson that much as a kid and didn't like the number 3 because of him, and then I loved it because of Chris Paul. But let's get into last night's first game, the 76ers and the Celtics. I think that I don't remember who it was in the broadcast. I think it was Reggie Miller brought up, how is Kyrie going to feel if he's not the leading scorer on this team? And I talked about it in the first episode, in the last episode, about, Kyrie came to Boston because he wanted to get out from under the shadow and of LeBron, and he wanted to lead a team. And he's certainly the leader of this team. I think he's still the best player. He probably still has the most impact, but that could very easily change this year. Jason Tatum looked amazing last night and could very well lead this team in scoring. I thought it was interesting I think Kyrie, let me pull up the box score. Kyrie had 7 points. He shot the ball 14.3% from the field. He only went to the free throw line twice. He had 7 assists. That's pretty good. What was his assist to turnover ratio? 7 assists, 3 turnovers. So that's a good assist to turnover ratio. But Terry Rozier played better than he did in a lot of ways. Terry Rozier was 5 for 10 from the field with 11 points. He made a 3. Kyrie was 1 for 8 from 3-point range. Terry Rozier had only 1 assist. But I think in a lot of ways, Terry Rozier played better than Kyrie, and I think that only benefits the Celtics because, I don't think Kyrie's going to play the way he did last night the whole year. It's really hard to draw just from an opening night. There was a lot of jitters last night. I don't think Kyrie's going to obviously play as poorly as he did last night, but Jason Tatum was 52.9% from the field, 9 for 17 shooting. He had 23 points. Played, well, him and Kyrie actually played a minute more than he did, but went to the free throw line 5 times, 9 rebounds, 3 assists. I think he very well could lead this team in scoring, and I think he'll probably be an all-star. I don't know. Was he an all-star last year? I don't think he was. I think Jason Tatum will probably be an all-star this year. But my main draw away from the Celtics 76ers game was the final score was 105-87. And without LeBron in the East, I think that score is pretty much indicative of the separation between the Sixers and the Celtics, who are second and first, respectively, in the East. Without LeBron in the East last year, that would have been the conference finals. Oh, no, it wouldn't have, because they were both on the same side of the bracket. But that will be the conference finals this year. And I think a victory of 105-87, my simple math is horrible. That's almost a 20-point victory, and I think that's just about the separation between first and second. I don't think Joel Embiid should shoot, what did he shoot? 42.9% from the field, 9 for 21 from the field. His field goal percentage should be way better. I just think he should be more efficient. For his dexterity and his coordination level and his size, I wish he would play more in the post. I understand that the game is stretching out and that he's got to be able to at least be a threat to shoot from 3, and that expands his game. But I just wish that they would run their offense through him a little more. I think sometimes that I don't, especially with the addition of Markelle Fultz into the rotation now. He played 24 minutes last night. Embiid played 36 and Simmons played 42. Simmons played the whole game. Huh. I think that they've got to figure out what they want to do on offense. Sometimes to me it seemed like they weren't really sure. And again, it's the first game, so they're just trying to figure out. I mean, that's what the season is for. You're trying to figure out what works best, and you're hoping to be as finely tuned as possible by May or April or whatever it is, middle of April, which is what they did last year. They went on a 16-game win streak at the end of the season. But I think that I wish that they would run their offense through Embiid in the post a lot more, because he's so he can play with his back to the basket or face up and put a series of moves on a big guy, or if he gets a mismatch, just back a little guy. I just wish that, he shot a sky hook last night that looked beautiful. I mean, why not shoot that shot more often? Get within 3 to 5 feet from the hoop and rise above whoever is guarding you. The only people that may be able to at least contest a shot like that from him are like JaVale McGee and, maybe Kevin Durant. Some of the really long guys, Kristaps Porzingis. I mean, there's a lot of long guys in the NBA, but with his athleticism and strength, I just wish he would be in the post more. Marcus Smart played really good defense last night. I really liked. I think that's what you get from Marcus Smart. What did he do offensively? 16 points, 58% from the field, no 3 attempts, 10 rebounds. I mean, that's exactly what they want and need out of Marcus Smart. So a guard to go rebound. He only had 1 turnover. That's Marcus Morris. Marcus Smart. Okay, never mind. Marcus Smart had 7 points, shot the ball 2 for 4 from the field, 50%, 1 of 2 from. That's 3. That was free throws. 2 for 4 for 50% from the field, 2 for 4 from 3 as well. I just thought that he played really great defense last night. There was a number of occasions where, even off the ball, he was denying Simmons, or I think he switched on to Embiid and denied the ball from Embiid. And there were a number of times where he was chasing JJ Redick around and played really good defense through the screens on JJ Redick. And there were a number of times where he wouldn't allow people to catch the ball even. There was one series on the wing where Markelle Fultz gave it up, and someone who didn't want to dribble had it, and he wouldn't let Fultz get it back, and everybody else was away from the ball, and it was the end of the shot clock, and he forced a shot clock violation. That was exciting to see, because he was hurt towards the end of the year. I guess he made a comeback in the playoffs. But speaking of injuries, I thought that it was really cool that Gordon Hayward, I don't think he played well, but at least defensively, again, he was really active defensively, especially at the beginning of the game. 5 rebounds, 4 steals, and I think a lot of those came at the beginning of the game. He was 1 for 3 from 3-point and only shot 33%, 4 of 12 from the field, but he had 10 points, 5 rebounds, no assists, no turnovers, 4 steals. I mean, for a first game back from as devastating of an injury, I fractured my elbow, and it wasn't a compound. I don't know if his was compounded because you couldn't see through the sock whether or not the bone was poking out, but it was nonetheless a really disgusting injury. And I fractured my elbow, and just the mental aspect of trying to play basketball at the highest level in the world is amazing to me after an injury like that. I just wonder, just based off mine, because my elbow is just not the same. It's not the same, and obviously an elbow and an ankle are different, but you still are using both, I think, pretty equally. You're moving your feet defensively and, planting your feet really hard when you're driving the basketball or playing defense. So you're still using it a shit ton. And I wonder if he can be the same last night again is a first game, and the jitters are out now, and he still played well. He still, helped his team win. He hit a couple of big shots, and that's what's nice about it being a leg injury, is that if you can shoot in the NBA, there's a spot for you on teams. So he could be a standstill shooter and have a great career in the NBA after this injury. But to me, it didn't seem like, I was watching the Thunder game. I was thinking about Paul George's injury after having watched Hayward sort of struggle to kind of find a rhythm driving the basketball. He turned it over. I think, he didn't have any turnovers. That can't be right. I watched him turn the ball over. But I just didn't think he necessarily, to me, he just looks like a guy out there. And maybe that's because he's a white guy amongst a bunch of black players, but I wonder if he'll be enough for the Celtics. I have a friend that lives in Boston who is probably obviously a big Celtics fan, tell me over the summer that there's no question in his mind. I don't remember the exact wording that he gave me, but there was no question in his mind that it would have been a completely different series had Kyrie Irving and Gordon Hayward played against the Cavaliers in the conference finals. And I think to a degree, he's right. It would have been a different series. Obviously, but I guess Gordon Hayward without the injury, I think, is a little bit different than Gordon Hayward now after the injury. I just don't think he's going to be the same player. But I don't know that it matters this year in the East, because without LeBron, they're gonna be a 5 to 8 point favorite over the 76ers in the conference finals, and they probably beat them in 5 or 6 games. And yeah, so we're not going to really get to see, I guess, whether or not it would make a difference, which is kind of unfortunate. I would have liked LeBron to have beaten the Celtics with Kyrie healthy and with Gordon Hayward healthy. I just don't think that those two guys necessarily make the difference in order to beat LeBron. LeBron in those last 2 games against the Celtics last year just willed his way to victory by being the greatest athlete in the world and just taking command of a game. And I don't think Gordon Hayward or Kyrie, actually I know that Gordon Hayward and Kyrie Irving don't will a team to victory, because without LeBron James, Kyrie hasn't done that. And Gordon Hayward, well, he hasn't done that, so I don't think that it's just unfortunate that LeBron left the East, but it is a new fun journey to watch in the West where, he very well could challenge the Warriors now in the West for the NBA Finals. And it's not out of the question that he beats the Warriors in the NBA Finals. What else do I want to talk about as far as the Celtics 76ers game goes? And then I will touch into the Thunder and Warriors game, because I think there was a lot to draw from. Gordon Hayward, Marcus Morris. Marcus Morris, I thought, played really well. I read his stats when I thought I was reading Marcus Smart's, and he had a great game. His ability to shoot the 3 now, he was 2 for 7 from 3. I guess that's not the greatest, but his ability to shoot the 3 makes his game, he's at least capable, makes his game so much better. He's a good defender. He had 10 rebounds. Jaylen Brown's dunk on Joel Embiid. It was obviously they were in Boston, so the reaction from the fans because the ball went in was going to be a big one. But Joel Embiid blocked that shot, the dunk attempt, which looked so cool the way he cocked it back and was floating through the air. That kid, he is springy, and he's kind of like a skinny, lean muscle type of guy where he just looks cool flying through the air. But Joel Embiid blocked that shot, and it just happened to go in, and then he was talking shit to him. And there was a couple times where Jason Tatum crossed him over and was talking some shit, and then on the next possession, Horford blocked his shot, and I think that's going to happen to Joel Embiid like quite a bit this year, just because of his social presence and the talking that he does. Like, it's gonna, and I love that. I mean, I talked a lot of shit when I played basketball. I just thought it was fun. It's just fun being competitive, and some of it can be friendly and some of it can be malicious, but I love that part of the game, and I think it's cool that he talks shit, but it's gonna come back to bite him a number of times throughout the year. But I mean, any press is good press, really, because it's press. It's only better for his brand the more that, like, he may get crossed over or half sort of dunked on or whatever, but I think in the end it only benefits him by just being the personality that he, and that's what's cool about the NBA today is there's always been this. I mean, Charles Barkley was like this back in the day. Shaq was like this. There's always been personalities in the NBA, but with how accessible everybody is now, it's really fun. It adds a kind of a new dynamic to the NBA. I mean, it's not new. It's been going on for years now, but Joel Embiid is now. No, he's now a superstar in the NBA. I think he's one of maybe 5 bona fide superstars in the NBA. So it's fun to be around for his prime, because I think he'll be a great if he can develop, like I talked about, like he just needs to be more efficient in the post. Okay, let's move to the Warriors and the Thunder. My biggest takeaway from the game was Damian Jones. He is going to be really, really good, and he fits into that. I mean, let me make a disclaimer here first. Everybody fits into the Warriors offense. Like, if you've got Steph, Clay, Kevin Durant, and Draymond, they won championships with Zaza in there, and they won a championship with Bogut. So, like, Bogut's really good. He's a great passer for his size, but Zaza is not very good at basketball, and he's just kind of a hack. And they won championships with him. But I think that this Damian Jones kid is he's springy. He plays defense hard. He's going to rebound. He got a bunch of tap outs last night and just deflections. His ability to finish at the rim, I think that's what separates him from somebody like a Zaza, is that you can throw the ball up to him. Or there were a couple of times where Curry dropped the ball off to him, and he was like almost halfway on his way up in the air, and it wasn't like an alley-oop, but he would like catch it, and then instead of where Zaza would maybe bank it off the glass and there's a greater chance it gets blocked, he would just go up and over somebody and dunk it straight through the hoop, and it would hit the, like, there's dunks where guys are just getting the ball in as they're going up, but he dunks it at like the peak of his jump. And when these guys that can't jump as high, they shoot it horizontal, kind of. They dunk it through horizontal, but his goes straight. The kind of like Dr. J's used to go straight down to the ground and bounce really high up. So he's gonna be a really cool tool for them. They mentioned in the broadcast that Kerr thinks he can fill the role that JaVale McGee held last year, and that's a really good point. I think that's really all you need from a 5 when you have 4 all-stars in your starting lineup. And, how many minutes did he play last night? Let's see. Let's switch over to the Thunder and Warriors box score. The NBA website is really awesome because you can turn on and off the scores. So when you log in, you can keep the scores. Maybe that's a feature that comes with League Pass. I don't know, but I have my scores turned off so that when I'm watching games the following day, I can still have there's no spoilers, essentially, I guess. Come on, my internet is being a little slow lately, and I guess that's an editorial thing I can talk about. So I wanted to do these. I've had a couple different times that I tried to start this the first day of practice and ran into some issues with my Adobe Premiere not working for the YouTube video that I post with the ball spinning. It just kept crashing Adobe Premiere because it was kind of a large file. So that didn't work. And then yesterday I tried to load the video to YouTube after I recorded it in the evening, and I left it uploading with a scheduled post, and I woke up in the middle of the night and checked it, and it was at like 20%. So I want to post these like the night. I want to post these every night at like 11:55 for the day before, where I talk about the games that happened the day before. And I'm still experimenting with how I'm going to do that with a shit internet. Luckily, I move here in a little while. I just purchased a home, so maybe I'll get some better Wi-Fi at my new home. And hopefully I'll be able to load these up at night. I don't think anyone other than me is going to care, because I don't think very many people are going to listen to this. However, I'm kind of nitpicky and a perfectionist, so I would rather you hear my take as soon as possible, because I know that there's a lot of other shit you can listen to when it comes to sports, and I think I'm going to just stop listening to everything, because I don't want it to taint my outlook on the games and outlook on the narratives that are taking place in the media and the NBA. So I'm just going to stop. I'm a big Colin Cowherd fan, not because we have the same name, because I think he's the best in the business and really fucking good at what he does as far as like making analogies to the real world. I think that's really fascinating. But I'm just not going to watch anybody talk about basketball anymore, and try to formulate my own talking points and talk about the topics that are going on in the basketball world that I want to talk about, rather than just talking about like what is the cool thing to talk about. Okay, my internet finally loaded. What was I going here for? Something about the Warriors stats. Damian Jones, 26 minutes. I think that he can be way more effective and just have more energy because that's all his position is energy. He shot 85.7% from the field, 6 for 7 from the field, probably because it was all dunks. But his energy can just be more when he's playing less minutes once what's his name? Boogie Cousins is healthy. If he is able to play at the same level, I mean, his injury was a serious one. I don't know if it's as serious as Gordon Hayward's, but it's certainly something that not many people like recover all the way from. So he could be a mold of what he was before, but I think if he's 80% of what he was before, he's going to have a huge impact on this team. And Damian Jones is going to be able to spell him or even play with him. I mean, the Warriors kind of not invented small ball, but they've perfected small ball, I guess you could say, even though their best player is 7 foot. But they can go big now. You could go Kevin Durant at the 3, Draymond at the 4. No, you could go Kevin Durant at 2, Draymond at 3, Damian Jones at 4, and Boogie Cousins at the 5, and then put Sean Livingston at the 1. And there's nobody under 6'7" or whatever Sean Livingston is. I would assume Sean Livingston is the shortest in that group, him or Draymond. He's 6'7", and Draymond. How tall are you, Draymond? 6'8", maybe? Yeah, 6'7". So him and Draymond and Livingston are 6'7", and they're your shortest players on the court. The lineups that they could mess around with once Boogie comes back are really scary. Chris Webber said something about Steph Curry's handle in the game. He said that we talk about Kyrie being the best ball handler in the game. And he said that we leave Steph Curry out of the conversation. does anybody leave Steph Curry out of the conversation? The best ball handlers, like I think that his game is what it is because, I mean, it is what it is because he shoots so well, but with his ball handling ability, like I think he's one of the more underrated finishers in the NBA because he can get into the lane as good as anybody because of his threat to shoot. And he finishes so well with either hand around the basket. It's so beautiful to watch him drive. He made a couple of really great passes, like on the run, where it was the defender from the wing rotated down to the big man on the block, and then the defender on the wing, or the defender on the in the corner, guarding the corner, rotated down to the block, and then the defender on the wing sucked into the lane. And Steph Curry made a couple of really great skip passes to the corner, and it's just, I mean, he's so much fun to watch. I just don't think that people leave him out of the conversation as far as, I mean, I'm obviously nitpicking at what one thing that one broadcaster said, and I think the general consensus on Chris Webber's color commentary is that he's just kind of like over exuberant and kind of annoying, but like it's easy to nitpick at one thing that somebody says where they're, he's got a limited amount of time to speak during the game, and he's trying to get in as many interesting tidbits as possible in a short amount of time. So, like he could have probably elaborated on that, but I just don't think that people leave him out of the conversation. It's him and Kyrie. I think that is the conversation. But what else do I got? I think the League Pass experience last night was interesting. Now both games were on TNT. I have between myself and I think 5 other friends, we split the most expensive NBA League Pass package. So you can watch like a mosaic view of the games where there's 4 different camera angles. You can watch the action view, which is they bounce around between cameras that are on the floor. So it's the cameras under the basket, and then the camera at half court, and then maybe they bounce around to a couple different ones. But I don't like that you can't, on those views, the action view, and then there's the above the backboard, so they just bounce between the 2 cameras above the backboard. On the action shot, I didn't like that you can't see the court as well and like what's going on off the ball, because I like to watch stuff like that, because for the most part, the ball screen action at the top, I know what's happening, and you can kind of see it without looking directly at it. I like to see what people are doing off the ball and how they're creating distractions essentially off the ball. But the overall, they just switch too much. Like on the action cam, they switch too much between all the different camera angles, and it's almost like overkill. Like I don't need that much action. Just show me the action shots in the replay. So I think that the actual national broadcast is better in that regard. But again, last night's games were national TV games. So it'll be cool to see. Apparently it's different when it's just a League Pass game, and there's no broadcast and it's just arena noise. I do really like that there's no commercials though, because I mean, you still have the break from the commercials, but you just get to watch the team benches. So that'll be, I think, really interesting I can't wait to just watch LeBron on the bench during Laker timeouts and see. It's really fascinating to me how lackadaisical the benches are during timeouts. There's so much downtime, especially during the media timeouts. Like guys are just like not in the team huddle, and these guys are all grown ass men. That's all coaching really is in the NBA. I mean, obviously that's not all it is, but it's mostly managing egos. But the overall League Pass experience is really cool. There are a shit ton of games on tonight. Let me see how many games. There's like 4 games on at 7 o'clock, a game at 7:30, 2 games at 7:30, a game at 8, 8:30, 10, 10:30, and 10:30. Bucks Hornets. I talked about this in the last episode, but there's fun people to watch on all these teams. The Pistons and the Nets is not very interesting. Grizzlies, Pacers will be fun to watch because Oladipo is fun to watch. Heat, Magic's not all that interesting. Hawks and Knicks is not all that interesting. Cleveland and Raptors. I mean, I want to see Kawhi Leonard play in his first game as a Raptor. The Pelicans and the Rockets will be a good one. That's a national television game on ESPN at 8:00. I will definitely be watching that game. So I'll probably watch the Bucks and the Hornets. I'll watch a little bit of the Pacers maybe. And that's what will be nice about, hopefully with multiple games on, I can do a split screen and watch a bunch of these games at once. I'll watch a little Raptors Celtics. I'll watch a little, I'll probably watch a lot of Pelicans Rockets. T-Wolf Spurs is a good one. Jazz Kings, interested in the Jazz this year. Probably won't watch too much of the Nuggets and the Clippers because I'll be asleep. These 10:30 games are too late for me. I get up too early in the morning for these late games. I just can't do it anymore. Last night I fell asleep before the Celtics and the 76ers game even started. What else do I got? I think that's it. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the I Can Do Anything podcast. I'm really excited for a shit ton of games. I don't have a social life anymore. I'm just going to be watching games. It's going to be really exciting. Thanks for listening. You can do anything.